Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening. So, good morning. So, the news media doesn't really talk about everything. And yesterday, after I came home, I was watching the news and they leave out a lot of details. And since a lot of people have been talking about the homeless issues and some of the hot button topics, they talked about this homeless man that was beaten and now he's missing. He was um, in a 7-Eleven, and then there were two African American young people. And I kind of got to look at the woman's face. She looked, and I'm not trying to make it sound like this is a joke or funny, but she looked like she might have had a mental issue. And then looking at her face, she had that look in her face. I was trying to look really hard, and it looked like she herself had a mental issue. So what the news media does not tell people is that downtown is filled with homelessness, drug addicts, people coming from the county jail downtown. There's a women's and a men's prison down there. Like, well, it's like prison, but there's one side where they have women and there's one side where they have males. And people are being released at all times. Certain times you'll see people, you can tell sometimes when people have been released from jail because they'll have like a little plastic bag with what all their belongings. So there's a lot of stuff that happens downtown that the news won't show. And I live in Los Angeles, so I know that even I won't go into some of those stores downtown. And I'm African American myself, and it doesn't excuse what these two did, but what the news won't show you is that downtown is pretty dangerous. And I've said this in previous videos that you're liable to see anything. And what they want to make it look like is a race war. And what they're not telling you is that some of these people, might have lived in neighborhoods and they're displaced and they had to move out of neighborhoods because of, MS-13, the gangs. And so there's been tensions between Latino community and Black community, and the news won't show you this. And so some people are not very happy about some of the things that have happened because some people are homeless because of that, because the rents are high, but it's affecting everybody. It's not just affecting African Americans, it's affecting Latino community as well, where they have risen rents. I don't know if you've really been paying attention to some of the arguments that they've had, even in Boyle Heights and some of the surrounding neighboring cities, how they've priced people out. And primarily the people who get priced out are people who don't make a lot of money. They're the working poor, or they're Blacks and Latinos. And there's been this long feud between some Blacks and some Latinos. That's not everyone. Now, let me reiterate that it's not everyone. There are some really nice Hispanic people that I've met, that I've worked around. And then there are some people who they harbor racism too in the Latino community. There are some buildings, and the news won't talk about this. I used to live they call this place the jungles. And certain buildings you couldn't move in because they wouldn't let Blacks live there. And they only wanted Latino people to live there. So, like, the housing authority did this program where they would go to these apartments and they would send someone of whatever background or nationality to try to apply for an apartment to see if they were discriminating. And so they don't talk about this on the news, but there's been a lot of tensions. There's certain buildings where only Blacks would live in, and then there's certain buildings. It's like some people are thinking that this is post-racial because we had a Black president. No, it's actually, a lot complicated than people would think. In a Los Angeles area, some people live a segregated life. It's like any other area, just like Chicago, just like some of the other places that you go, where you'll have Latinos that just live only amongst themselves, and Blacks will live amongst themselves, and whites will live on the outside amongst themselves. And so there's been tensions with different racial groups. And some is more extreme than others. But what this is what I'm trying to point out is that downtown is full of crackheads, ex-crackheads, drug addicts. Now you got different people who are a part of different crews. The gangs even still exist, but now they you know they use music to lure the young people into gangs, and they call themselves crews or the 2-0 boys or whatever. And that's the way, and I noticed that the difference between, Hispanic gangs is that they show their tattoos is very visual, where you can see. Blacks kind of, you don't see the tattoos as visual. It's under the shirt, on the arms. They keep their arms covered. You don't know if they're part of a gang. Some people are into, they're on drugs, on pills. And in the downtown area is very dangerous. And so anyone could get a tat. And it's not just based on just your nationality either. They might use that. Some people will use that because of a lot of the tensions that we've had in Los Angeles over a number of years. Now, like they said, that the guy is missing and they think that they took him somewhere. I don't know that they did that. These two look like they're also maybe not stable. There are homeless Black people downtown, lots of them. And some of them are ex-drug addicts coming from out of the county jail, things like that. And the news will not show you these things. They try to put people against each other and break people apart and make people fight against each other over people who have, these people could have had mental issues or be on drugs or something. And, I kind of looked at the girl's face and she didn't look like she was, she was pretty revved up and volatile, but you don't know if she's on drugs or if she has a mental issue herself. And the guy, he kind of looked glassy-eyed. And there's certain drugs that these kids are taking now that'll cause them to become enraged and violent. And so I'm going to play the video. I think a lot of people have seen it. It's sad. She's doing a lot of profanity, but they're taking photos. Now, some Hispanic people are nice and some don't like Blacks. You could be a nice person. You could be a person that is trying to get along with people, and they'll use this kind of stuff right here to make it paint a broad brush to make it look like all Blacks are like this, and we're not. And so it's unfortunate, but see, too, you have to realize that there have been projects and neighborhoods where Blacks have lived, and the Mexican, when they come over in those neighborhoods, they have this takeover mentality, and they'll have like cousins and gangs, MS-13, the Mexican mafia, and they'll take over the building, take over the neighborhood, and they run Blacks out. They had neighborhoods in Compton where they, some old neighborhoods like projects, where they would firebomb African Americans and run them out. And you'd never see those videos on TV because it's they've got Molotov cocktails, they're busting your windows, or they're hurting your kids, and you never see them talk about those things. But they are ready to put out their video camera on stuff like this. And so they won't tell you that downtown is full of homeless people, people who are coming. There's a county jail downtown. And some of those people are on drugs. The first thing they go to, they don't have any, hope. They get out. They eat in places like 7-Eleven because it's quick eating. You can just heat stuff up in the microwave. Homeless people go in there. Sometimes those stores, they smell bad. And they have young people that are going to school and they see this stuff. So they take a photo because they think it's funny. But it creates a lot of drama. But anyway, I'm going to play the video.
And trouble was attacked is now missing. The victim's family says that video is the last they've seen of him.
And tonight, LAPD wants to find that man and his attackers. KCAL9's Rachel Kim is live at LAPD headquarters right now downtown with more information. Rachel.
Jeff and Susie, Frankie Martinez's family filed a missing persons report with the LAPD here today because they haven't had any contact with him since this happened on May 1st. They spent the rest of the day searching for him around downtown LA and Skid Row, but still no sign of Frankie.
This cell phone video shows 59-year-old Frankie Martinez getting beaten up inside a 7-Eleven store in downtown LA. Eat up for food. The woman began hurling racist insults against the cashier, and that's when Frankie told her to have some respect. Then he became the target of the racist rant before it became physical. The woman grabbed Frankie's suitcase as he was heading out the door. Soon, the man who was with her began punching Frankie.
He was being respectful. Now I can't. I mean, it used to be like if something were like to happen, you would call. And nothing.
Dahlia Martinez is Frankie's sister. She says her family is worried about his safety because they haven't seen or heard from him since he was beaten up on May 1st.
I don't know what happened outside. From the witness, she said that they were still beating him up. And then when she came back, she felt bad to help him. Everything was gone.
Dahlia fears the man and woman who assaulted her brother may have taken him somewhere. She tells us Frankie has a mental disease and is homeless, but is in constant contact with his family, even though he lives somewhere around Skid Row. Now, the LAPD is investigating. They want to find this woman to see if she knows what happened to Frankie.
And especially what happened, he would have called us.
Now, the LAPD is looking for any security video from outside the 7-Eleven for any clues. If you have any information or have seen Frankie, please call the LAPD. Back to you in the studio. Right.
So that's pretty much that video. It's sad, but I looked at the woman's face. She looks like, and I'll be honest with you, she looks like those people that have Down syndrome. She has something about her face doesn't look right. It looks as though she has her own issue of mental illness. And so the news won't tell you this. And so there are a lot of people I've seen downtown. It doesn't matter what race or what nationality, that they've been on drugs. They've come from out of the county jail. They're homeless. They have mental diseases, illnesses. Some of them got hepatitis, AIDS. They've been banished from their homes, or they've lost their way. They might have lost their job. They might have lost their place to live because the rents are high. They can't afford it. And so they become desperate and they become volatile and they start blaming everybody, for whatever, and so the news will not talk about this. And so I'm just disturbed by this, but also disturbed that the news will not talk about some of the other underlying issues that go on, that downtown is not all pretty lights and Staples Center like people want to believe it is. There's a lot of things that go on downtown. There's even people who have they've what you call gentrified the downtown area. So a lot of the housing in that area that used to be a little more affordable is no longer attainable for some people. And so you have the homeless and the downtrodden, and then people sometimes they're just being pushed further and further away. And so they were like they did in Santa Ana, where they're trying to make like hotels and things like that. I think they're trying to get some of the buildings and they're trying to fix them up so that they can get some of the homeless population in there. And so you'll have people that are families that are homeless. You even now have college students that are now homeless. And so you'll see some of the college students, they'll sleep out of their cars. There's a lot of RVs. They're not talking about this. And so I've been seeing a lot of RV families, and that's the easiest way to put it is RV families, like even along Washington Boulevard, there's a row. Maybe I'll take a video of it or something so you could see, but there's a row of RVs along Washington and Vermont, up in that area, where there's nothing but homeless people. And every now and then they make them move and they give them tickets. And some of those people, you see them, they'll be fighting. There's trash everywhere. Some of them will be drinking. They kick them out of the little 99-cent stores in the area. And, you see some of everything downtown. People violent, You know, some people are off their meds. We've had a couple of halfway houses, and when those get filled to capacity, some of those people are clinically, they have like some kind of medical issue where it's a mental problem and they need medicine. They're bipolar, schizophrenic, and they can become violent. And so I've had to, you know, watch where I've walked, you know, in certain areas because of the fear of, you know, some of these people. And, you know, when they do catch them, I don't know if they put them, I don't think they put them in a mental hospital. I don't think they have many of those anymore like they used to. But there's a lot of people I've noticed downtown who are kind of off, you know, and I'm even scared sometimes to go down there. So, you know, you'll find a lot of that going on in the downtown area, but the news tries to point it out if based on how people look. It's, you know, you know, what they won't tell you. If you look at that lady's face, she looks like she's Down syndrome, like something's wrong with her. So people like that are gonna, you know, what do you expect? And then if he's got the guy that they're attacking, he's got a mental issue, you know, I mean, come on now. The news will not tell you this kind of stuff, but they make it look like normal people who have good sense are everybody's crazy like this, and they're not. And so anyway, I just wanted to say that because I looked at this lady's face. She looks like something's wrong with her. And I work kind of with people that have these issues. And so something looked like something might be going on with her as well. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe. It's just sad. I hope they do find the guy. There's a bunch of lost people downtown that you know, they've come from out of mental hospitals and they don't get their meds. They don't know how to access their medication. Some do, some don't. They're overprescribed medicines, or when they don't get their medicines, they become volatile. And you see these type of incidences go on. But it's not fair that they're not talking about the homelessness and the addicts that are downtown and some of the craziness that some people won't even park their cars in certain places downtown, and they're not telling you this. So shame on you, news media, for not really telling the truth. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for listening.